Hey everyone, thanks for watching the Commander's Brew 2019 Commander set review. This is the Naya Primal Genesis. This is the Populate deck. We'll be talking all about it. Let's get right into it, Sean.
Ooh, okay.
What are these cards?
This is the Populate deck and the face commander, the one on the front of the box. If you had to do a book report on the deck and you didn't study, you would describe this commander and hope you got it right. This is Geared, Gerard, like wizards.
Gerard.
Pull a couple more Scrabble tiles out of the bag. Like, you got to use new letters sometimes.
Can we just call this guy Grant and be done with it? Like, what's going on?
Sure. Conclave Exile. 2 red, green, white. Legendary Human Shaman, 2/5. When it enters the battlefield, create a 4/4 green rhino creature token with trample. So 5 mana gets you a 2/5 plus a 4/4. That's pretty good. Definitely. Whenever Grant attacks, Populate. The token enters the battlefield tapped and attacking. So repeatable populate by attacking. This is great. This is what these abilities need. So obviously you already have that rhino, so you at least have a 4/4 rhino to populate, presuming no one killed it or anything. And of course, we're going to work pretty hard to get other tokens that are even bigger and better.
I love it. I mean, this is... Populate is one of my all-time favorite mechanics in Magic. When I entered the game, that was Return to Ravnica, so that was one of the main things. I really got into it right away. One of my first commander decks. So I'm stoked to see that this is the theme of the Naya, pre-con this year, and I think Grant is a really good commander. I like that, putting that spin on it that the red brings to the deck, like having to attack. I think that's a fun angle, right? You can't just sit back with this guy. Like, that's Tristani is your sit back populate commander, and Grant is your attacking commander, and I love it. I think it's really fun.
Let's not forget that red is like one of the best colors for making token copies of creatures that last until end of turn, but the ones you populate last forever. So we're going to use all those little enchantments that make second copies of things, and then Grant's going to attack, and you're like, I'm going to keep one of these forever.
Yep, absolutely. Love it. I mean, not much else to say. Like, this is just an excellent design, excellent commander. Fun, like, everything's there. Everything's where you want it to be.
A+.
Moving on. Atla Palani, Nest Tender. 1 red, green, white. 4 mana for the 2/3 human shaman. 2 tap, create a 0/1 egg, a green egg creature token with Defender. Whenever an egg you control dies, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest onto the bottom of your library in a random order. She is the Eggman.
Wow.
She is the Eggman. I am the walrus. Okay. I love this. This might be my favorite commander of all of them.
Yeah, this is cool.
It's just man, they're coming out of these eggs. I'm making eggs. They got these huge monsters coming out of them. She makes the eggs. You can, if in this deck you're doing populate, so you're populating the eggs, so you're getting even more creatures. It's like, I love it when, like, you want to go heavy on tokens, but with populate, but like in this deck, you want to go heavy on creatures, like big creatures in your deck, but you still want to have some populate. Like, I love it. It's so fun. It's so fun to be able to, like, marry those two things and try and find a good balance for it. I think I might want to replace Mael the Anima with Atla Palani and put in a few things that can help with the egg making, but because that's what you want to do, right? You want to then spit out the free big monsters. I couldn't be happier with this commander. It's really fun.
I don't know what the end game of this deck idea is, but I want to do Atla Palani with a couple of sack outlets and almost all changelings. So everything is an egg. And then I sack it and get the next egg. And I sack it and get the next egg. And I sack it and I get the next egg. And I don't know where that goes. I don't know how that ends, but that sounds very fun.
Sean, that's a deadly sounding deck.
But you need some sort of, like, thing, like if it was black, obviously this would be an aristocrats kind of thing, but we don't have that luxury. So like, what is the other thing that
What's
you
the
do
Naya
with it?
version of that? Yeah.
Is there a way to like, I guess you'd do like impact tremors or something, and then you'd have a way to shuffle your graveyard back into your library with one of the creatures so that you just keep it rolling?
Yeah, I mean, green definitely does that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I smell a deck.
I smell a deck.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. Again, nailed it. 100%. Like, this is an
Yeah.
A+ commander as well. Like, it's... I
Yeah,
don't
it
know.
satisfies it all. Like, so like a newer player can see this and be like, oh, I know exactly what to do with this. Like make eggs and get my giant monsters out. I love that. But then us people who are just like, we're like, ooh, how can I break this? You're just like, okay, here's a weird thing we can do. I love
Yeah.
that possibility too.
Whenever an egg you control dies, that line of text alone is just really funny to me. Like egg, I think is one of the funniest words like in the English language. So
Yeah.
just to see it come up so often now in Magic, I'm in.
I mean,
I'm
they
making
say
eggs. I'm making eggs.
whenever you make an omelet, you're gonna kill a few eggs.
You're gonna have a few eggs you control die.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Atla Pilati, love it, love it.
Cool.
Very excited for this commander.
We also have another Naya commander, maybe the tiniest head on the biggest body I've ever seen. Muricy, Breaker of the Coil. 1 red, green, white, cat warrior, 5/4. Your opponents can't cast spells during combat. This is what Bassandra should have had. It should be only your opponents can't cast during combat. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, goad each creature that player controls. That's what I'm talking about. I'm sorry, Grenzo, you don't do enough. But this is the goad commander we've always wanted.
Yeah, and it's like the most fun thing about this is it's whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player. So
1 point of trample is enough.
you don't have to risk Muricy getting in there if you don't want, right?
Nope,
Like you can definitely just send in a bunch of tokens if you wanted. Like,
oh yeah,
and then just oof. Big tramplers, send in and then have them goaded, and then all the like they're attacking your opponents, and then you have like
which also means their shields are down for your next volley.
Man, go like you said this before we started recording that this is where they've printed all the good goad creatures and all the good goad cards, right?
Yeah, this is the goad set.
They don't have to worry about limited. And what I was like, we were talking about, which you were like, why are all the good goad cards here? Like, why weren't the good goad cards in the previous sets? Like, well, I guess they had to worry about limited with Conspiracy 2 and goad, right? They had to worry about how it was going to work in the confines of a limited set. But here it's just commanders, so it's just go nuts. What? Everyone's goaded, you know? Like, see how that works.
Oh man, I cannot wait.
Yeah, very fun. I mean, again, we have 3 like awesome commanders that really do feel like these are the right colors for it. Like these are Naya abilities 100%. They feel simple yet deep, like strategy wise. It feels like you can do a lot with the abilities, and you can, I don't know, I bet out of the box some are going to be better than others, but like overall we're getting just awesome commanders here, man. This might be the best set of commanders of any of the precons. I mean, maybe since the first ones, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I would even argue though, like that those first ones have some A pluses, but the one we don't even remember their backup commanders from some of those sets.
Well, some of the backup commanders were like, I mean, that's true. Like Gabe's a backup commander. Anyways, you're right. There's definitely some, but I mean, some of those are really timeless commanders. Like
that's true.
There's some of them, and they're like powerful. Like that's the reason we remember a lot of them. These guys, they might not be as powerful as those, but just from every other aspect you're looking at it, they get such high marks. They're so great.
Yeah.
I even think the power level's there if you build the right deck around them too, though, right? Anyways.
So who's the backup commander with one less color?
We got one more. It's Tangarth, First Mate. This is Tanwain, and this is Tangarth. 2 red greens. This is a Gruul commander. It's a legendary Minotaur warrior. Tangarth, as I found out from the people who spoiled it, was on the Weatherlight. It's a Weatherlight character.
Oh.
Tangarth, First Mate, can't be blocked by more than one creature. So it's a
Okay.
classic green ability. Tangarth is a 5/5, by the way. Whenever an opponent attacks with one or more creatures, if Tangarth is tapped, you may have an opponent gain control of Tangarth until end of combat. If you do, choose a player or planeswalker that opponent is attacking, and Tangarth is attacking that player or planeswalker. So I had to really like take my time and read this the first time I saw it and like think about it, just because it's a lot of text. Basically, when an opponent attacks, if Tangarth is tapped, so Tangarth must have had to either get tapped or attacked previously. You untap it, that opponent gets it, and then you choose who Tangarth is attacking, one of the people that it is currently attacking.
So if your opponent is attacking another opponent and your Tangarth is tapped, you can have Tangarth join the team in fighting that other player.
Yeah, can jump in on the attack.
So this is a sneaky way to get extra commander damage in if Tangarth is your commander.
Yes. I so these types of abilities and these types of cards, like we had combat suit, is that what it's called?
Assault suit.
Assault suit, right? Assault suit, and we've seen Bloodthirsty Blade. This is kind of a similar thing. Tangarth is feels like the natural commander, obviously, for that style of deck. Or there's also the red black. Xancha, right? So like we're seeing these abilities more and more. I love them. I think they're lots of fun. I love playing in that space of, giving your commander away and having it do stuff without you having control of it. I just don't know, again, sacrifice effects are always worry me with this type of thing.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to participate if they have a sack outlet on the board.
And obviously you get to choose, right? You don't always have to give give Tangarth away, right? You choose when it happens. So if your opponents are attacking someone and they have a 6/6, you're not gonna just give them Tangarth,
right?
Right.
And I would wonder, why would that first opponent be attacking the people with the 6/6 to begin with?
Yeah, exactly. So maybe they can afford it. I don't know. But I think the idea is probably to suit up Tangarth, right? Make Tangarth difficult to block, difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
And that's how you do it. I think that's just pretty much the blueprint on these types of cards. So, to me, it's not super exciting just because it feels like it's just another take on it's another Voltron commander, but it is at least a little bit different. So
I do like the unique effect. If Tangarth is your commander, then I can do 5 commander damage to you, and then my friend can also do my 5 commander damage to you. And so when it comes back to you, they've got 10 marked on them.
Yeah, as you can hear, Harry really into Tangarth. He feels like it's a strong ability.
Harry likes Tangarth. Could this be his first commander deck?
Ooh, interesting. What a cool choice. Maybe it will be. Harry will be playing around Commander 2029. I feel like.
Yeah, it's about 10 years old.
Yeah. Probably around there. Okay, let's get into the non-legendaries. What's happening here?
Okay, we got an enchantment. It's 2 white for creatures you control get +1/+1 for each time you've cast your commander from the command zone this game. These ones are so tricky because tax gets expensive. And if I've only cast my commander once, I'm probably always going to cast them once.
Yeah.
Great, +1/+1's awesome. But I can get that on way cheaper enchantments, right?
Yeah.
So this has to be +3/+3 before I'm excited to play it. And is that okay for partners? Do partners count? If partners count, I'm going to give this a second look.
Yeah.
If each partner is 1 cast, but I don't know.
I think it must, right?
It would have to be each time you've cast. I've ticked that box twice.
Yeah, I think you're right. So if that is the case, this definitely goes up as far as partner commanders go, and I think is not really that good. You're just gonna run. There's a lot of things you're gonna run over this, but because you have to make sure you cast your commander at least twice before this is any good.
Yeah, before it's any good.
What if you just cast your commander and it's out and no one's dealt with it and here it is and now you want to drop an aura or now you want to drop an anthem and the only one you have is Commander's Insignia and you're like, oh man, 4 mana to give everything +1/+1. Dang. Dang's what you're gonna say. Yeah, not wild about this one. Let's move on. Doomed Artisan, 2 and a white for a 1/1. Human Artificer. Sculptures you control can't attack or block. At the beginning of your end step, create a colorless sculpture artifact creature token with this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of sculptures you control. So sculptures you control can't attack or block. And which means that you need to, so Doomed Artisan needs to die or at least go away before your sculptures can actually do anything.
Right.
I love the design of this card. I think it's really
very cool.
Really cool. Yeah, right?
I mean, I don't hate it. Like if we're just gonna look at it on its surface, right? The dream is to be able to attack with like 8 sculptures, right? So but that would take 8 end steps, or a ton of populates, which is possible. But I think what this, let's just look at it like this though: 3 mana for an artifact, for a creature that dumps out a token every turn. We can't necessarily attack with it, so it's not great in that reason. But if we care about number of creatures, if we care about sacking creatures, this gives us a free sack body every single turn. That is very good on a 3 mana creature. If I have it stops working, but like the first one triggers the Mentor of the Meek. The first 2 will trigger that. Yeah. But then the future ones will trigger the one that matters when creatures power 3 or greater enter.
Would it have been too much to have this card just give them Defender and their walls or something like that? Like they have Defender as long as Doomed Artisan is in play, you know what I mean? And then you sack them and then
they can't block.
Right, because they can't even block. Like they don't do anything
sucks.
As long as he's out there.
You know what? In my mind, they couldn't attack, but the fact that they also can't block, that's worse. That's a lot worse.
Like they're, I don't know, it feels like they probably did that, and then they were like, actually, making these things happen every turn, it's just too much. It's too easy. Maybe it's too strong. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I don't know. Anyways, I feel like that would make the card better, and I'd want to play it more if they could at least block.
Yeah.
But in a deck where you're sacrificing things, maybe I think this is probably okay because, like you said, it's giving you sack fodder.
It's a free body.
In the case where you get a bunch of these, you can just sack the Artisan, and then all of a sudden you got a bunch of monsters, right?
Yeah.
This card also created a bunch of controversy on Twitter about the flavor text, but we won't get into that. Okay.
Remember me not as I am, but as I should have been.
People felt it was ableist in that it was the
because he's got his arm is like
because he doesn't like being having a prosthetic or whatever. Anyways.
Oh man, that is weird.
It's a bit weird, but at the same time, anyways, we won't get into it. So let's just move on.
Okay.
Past Doomed Artisan.
We got Song of the World Soul. It's 4 white for an enchantment. Whenever you cast a spell, populate. Wizards, thanks. We have this for Proliferate. Inexorable Tide. Of course we should have had this for Populate, and now we do. Thank you.
Thank you. It's good. It's great. Gonna put it in my Populate deck. Very happy about it.
Yeah.
Cool. Gured's grants Belligerence. X red for a sorcery that says grants Belligerence, gets X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures. Whenever a creature dealt damage this way dies this turn, populate. This is cool.
Yeah.
I like it. It's I don't think this is going to be some crazy powerful spell or anything like that, but I actually really, combining this is how we add red to the populate field,
Yes.
Make it a fireball, make it deal damage, and then add on this thing where now it populates that many times. You get a bunch of your opponent's tokens with this and you're just populating 4 or 5 times. That's awesome.
I think that's the ceiling. I think
yes, I agree.
Most fireballs are rarely split among creatures. I know you don't have to pay extra to do it. You can split however you want. So maybe you get 2, but it's not very often you get more than 2 creatures, even with this ability, because people don't run a lot of 1/1s. So you're relying on your opponents from having a lot of 1/1 tokens for this to get max value. Yeah. Where I think this card would shine is in the kind of populate deck where you have a bunch of expendable tokens and a gigantic token that's worth copying.
Get your own tokens.
I'm willing to say red X, populate X times, but also sack X creatures that, because that sounds great. Because I'm more interested in 10 populates than I am about killing 2 creatures and 2 populates.
Yeah, Yeah, no, good call. That can definitely work that way.
I
That's
feel Brutaclad would love this card because he's
yeah.
already interested in making little servos and giant crazy tokens. So it's like, yeah, I'll kill all my servos to give myself 7 more, I don't know, worm coil engines.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yep. No, definitely. That's a very good. That's a very good idea. Yeah. I right from when I saw it, I was very stoked about this card, and it's part of the cycle of like this one pairs with the headlining commander of each deck, and this one was my favorite one
Yeah.
of the pairs. But I mean, I'm a little biased. I populate. Like I said, populate's one of my favorite
Yeah.
mechanics. Moving on. Tectonic Hellion is a 5 red, so 7 in total for a 8/5 Hellion with haste. And it says whenever Tectonic Hellion attacks, each player who controls the most lands sacrifices 2 lands. This is an interesting attempt at taking down that green player from the massive ramping that they're going to do, and not do it in a way that stops them from playing the game or riding a motorcycle.
Yeah.
I think that this is, I don't know, man, an 8/5 with haste with this ability that costs 7. I don't know really what deck wants this.
I don't know. Like, yeah, it's hard. It's very fair, and I think it's a needed ability, right?
What if you control the most lands?
Yeah, I mean, if you control the most lands, so you're probably not running this in your typical red-green deck that ramps a lot. But yeah, I don't know. I'm interested in it, but I think it's overcosted for most of the decks. I can't think of when I really, really want this.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't know. These types of things, it's like I tend to stay away from them just because it feels like it could hurt me a lot in the deck where I want to put this in.
It could.
Therefore, I'll just not include it.
What
It's
about
not gonna
this
really
ability?
be worth it the times it's useful.
I mean, it's expensive, but if I can get 1 attack in with it, then the player with the most lands sacks 2. Now, the player with the second most lands, no one is going to play lands to equal that player, because then both of those players will have to sack 2 lands. So everyone will permanently stay behind the player with the most lands. So maybe you cast this when you have the most lands but don't attack, so no one else can catch up.
Is that good?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just trying to get my head around the psychology. Yeah. It's interesting. It puts an interesting effect on the game when it's sitting there.
I guess I just wish it didn't cost 7.
I know.
So much.
What about maybe make it cost 5 and it only sack 1 land?
Yeah, or is 6 mana 6/6 with this ability too much?
Yeah.
Tone it down on the power a little bit. I don't know.
Tone it down.
Anyways, interesting card, but I'm not rushing to put this in decks probably.
Nah.
Oh wait, I just read that one. Your turn.
Ooh, full flowering. XX. Well, you should read this one. This sounds like it's right up your alley.
Okay, sure. Full flowering. XX green for a sorcery that says populate X times. So
it's hard because it's up both our alleys, really.
It really is. You're right. You're right. This is the perfect marriage. This seems to be a very good marriage of what we enjoyed doing in Magic.
Yeah.
X. So at its base, X equals 1, 3 mana populate, which is not very good.
No.
But start to go 2. We're talking 5 mana to populate twice, which also doesn't seem very good. To me, that's a lot, considering there is the 1 white sorcery, which is just populate, which I never run in any populate deck.
Yeah.
So where are we going with this? Where does this need to be before it's worth it?
Well, what was that one that was in a recent set where you could choose the same mode 4 times, and one of those modes was, oh no, those proliferate. That's mind.
Proliferate, yeah, or create 2/2 tokens. 3 mana. A lot of times with these double X spells, 3 is where we want to be. So 7 mana to populate 3 times. My problem with it is that I've got a populate deck where it's bigger tokens, right? So very much worth populating. And a lot of the times, it can be hard, after a board wipe, to get back in it. And if you're holding full flowering, I mean, it doesn't, that doesn't do anything on a board without any tokens on it. Now, obviously, you start talking about those 4/4 rhinos that Jired is making. Yeah, okay, I'll pay 5 mana to make 2 of those. getting 8 power toughness with trample. That's pretty good. It's not. I'm not so excited about it though. I actually thought I was going to be way more excited about this card, and instead I'm kind of talking myself out of it.
It's hard because like the dream scenario is like you're able to sink like 11 mana into this
Yeah.
and populate 5 times. But for that to happen, the game would be very late. So
Yeah.
if you were uncontested and you have a wicked like 8/8 copy of a thing that's a token that you can populate, I mean, your opponents, like, you're probably already winning, or like your opponents are like aren't just ignoring you. I don't know. But
Yeah.
then like, so but what if there's been a couple of board wipes and you're like, well, I could spend 11 mana, but all I have is a token, the 1/1, right? Like, I don't want to do that on a 1/1. You need a lot to go in your favor.
Yeah, like what if all you have is like a 2/2 wolf? Like what token do we need to have before we're willing to spend like 7 mana on this card? Is it a 3/3? Is it the 4/4 Rhino? Like the 4/4 Rhino is pretty good. Like a 3/3 like Centaur? Do you want to do that?
My opinion on this card is maybe this card doesn't go in a populate deck per se, but it goes in like a cool token deck. And it's basically a Rite of Replication. You're just like, I'm just going to hope that when I have this, one of my kick-ass tokens is out there, and I'm going to make as many copies of it as I can, and that's sort of my win con.
Yeah. 4. You could do 4 copies for 9. Like that's pretty similar to Rite of Replication.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
the deck's already designed to make cool big tokens. I'm not the kind of deck that's making 1/1s and 2/2s. Like that,
No.
that's never what I'm thinking about populating. And this might be my only populate card in the deck.
I don't hate it, but I think you're right. I think it's got to be specifically big tokens or copies of real creatures, maybe with ETB abilities. Then we're talking.
Yeah. Well, the next one up. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure. It's hard.
Yeah.
The next one up is Orin Frost Fang. This was our preview card. We covered this on our preview day back on the 7th of August. So go look that up if you haven't heard us talk deep. But it's a 3 green snow creature that's a snake. It's a 2/6. Attacking creatures you control have death touch, and whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. So it's like a Bident of Thassa ability attacked onto giving everything death touch, which is a fantastic combination. It goes great in token decks because they'll probably get through or get value, and it goes great in big trampler decks because death touch on tramplers is the best combo for combat.
Yeah. This is a card lots of people were excited about this when they saw it, and rightfully so. It's very good. It's weird now seeing it here in this deck. It's like it doesn't even feel like it fits in this deck a little bit, but it is definitely very cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Probably for that goad commander, because it's going to be hard for them to block your creatures, so you will get damage through.
Good point. Good card. I think you're going to see that a lot in green. Next is Celestia Eulogist, 2 and a green for a 3/3 Centaur Druid. 2 has the activated ability of 2 and a green, exile target creature card from a graveyard, then populate. See, I'm a little more excited about this, oddly enough, than the X spell one.
Yes, me too.
Right? Because this, you don't need to have, yes, obviously we want to do the populate, but exiling creature cards from a graveyard is a real useful ability. And having that also team up with populate just means, there's going to be times when we do this, and we do it just to exile some random creature and get a wicked token, or the opposite, there's no tokens on the battlefield, but we do it just to stop someone from reanimating something sweet. So I'm all the way in on Celestia Eulogist. I love it. I'm in. I want one.
I'm in too, and like there are probably ways to make token copies of creatures that generate mana, in which case this ability starts to pay for itself. Like I'm thinking your Prosperous Pirates, or that little goblin we talked about earlier that makes treasure tokens. Like if you can make a token of it and then start populating it, then you're just generating tons of mana.
Oh wow, yeah, that's cool for sure.
Yeah,
very good.
Next up is Idol of Oblivion, 2 generic mana for an artifact. It says tap, draw a card. Activate this ability only if you created a token this turn. It has a backup ability for 8 and tap. Sacrifice Idol of Oblivion. Create a 10/10 colorless Eldrazi creature token. The fact that it's Eldrazi is very interesting. But this is What a great design. Like, tap, draw a card. Draw a card for no additional cost, but only if you've created a token this turn. This is kind of White's best friend for card draw. White is great at making tokens, and this is a much needed draw a card for White decks.
Yeah, I actually, man, I love it. I think it's great. Kind of like, why did they make it colorless? You know what I mean? I guess just because it's an artifact, but because White needs the card draw. They make tokens easily. They have the most to gain from this card, but like, you're still putting this in Populate decks in general.
Yeah.
So
is
that going to make it harder for players who need this card for their White decks to get? I hope not.
You were talking price and supply and demand.
Yeah, like I hope I hope not. I probably not, because
it's pre-selling for $2, which is the lower end of.
Yeah.
Like, the decks have not officially been released as we record this.
It's true, and it only draws one card per turn. So like,
yeah,
I mean, unless you're untapping it or something, but like, you know.
Yeah, there's also those like we talked about the that doesn't work, but like there are creatures that make a token every turn. Like for every player's turn, you get to make a token. So you're drawing a card for every player's turn. That sculpture dude, this makes the sculpture guy better because at least you're drawing a card every of your turns anyway. At the end of.
Well, I mean, you still have to tap it, so you can't be.
Oh yeah, that's right. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think. I mean, I love that White has access to this, and that's great.
Yeah.
And when would you ever make that token? I mean, not never. I'll take it. That's just free bonus.
Yeah, if you're populating, like, yeah, there's a time when you're like, all right, let's
populate that 10.
Let's go for it. Yeah, let's pay a mana, do it, and start making those guys. Next here we have Hate Mirage. Interesting
funny
card. 3 to red for sorcery. It says choose up to 2 target creatures you don't control. For each of those creatures, create a token that's a copy of that creature. Those tokens gain haste. Exile them at the beginning of the next end step. So this is exactly what Sean was talking about earlier, where these great red abilities where it's going to give us 2 temporary tokens. They're going to get haste. They have to like either exile or be sacrificed at the end of the turn. But if we populate them, they don't have that text, because you just, like, for example, this sorcery just exiles the ones that you made with this sorcery. That text is not tied to the ones that you might populate. And that's the key. That's awesome. That's what we want to do.
Yeah.
I love that now. I love that the Populate deck is included red, and like we said originally, from those reasons. And Hate Mirage is actually a fun card, man. I think this is really cool. You just choose 2 target creatures you don't control, and you get them. Even for the 1 turn, this is like, I wouldn't say it's fully worth it, but in this deck, it's definitely worth it.
Fun name.
Very fun name.
Yeah.
Hate Mirage. There's do they have Mirage bars in the States? I don't think so. They're just in Canada, right? I think Mirage is just Canadian.
Oh, it's delicious.
Mirage bars are like arrows, but they're just one. It's like a bar, like a classic, like full-on bar, instead of like that weird, like flat, section type of chocolate bar.
Yeah.
It's like, I hate Mirage.
Yeah.
It's too many bubbles.
I prefer Kit Kat.
It's so chocolatey. I hate it. Hate Mirage. Okay. Fun card, though. And we're not going to talk about Cliffside Rescuer, Voice of Many, or Scareteller, although they all are also included in this deck. We talked about them in the Jeskai and Sultai videos.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's it for the Naya Populate deck. I'm like I said, I love Populate. I like some of these cards are real exciting to me. They nailed it with the commanders again, and yeah, I mean, I think if I was going to buy one, this might be the one.
Ooh,
if I only had to choose one, personally.
Oh, that is a tough call.
It's tough.
I can't decide yet.
It's hard, right? All right, thanks for listening to the Naya Populate deck. Let us know in the comments. What are you picking with Hate Mirage? What are your cards that you like in this deck? Let us know. We really want to know what's going on. We're going to be building decks out of this stuff, so we want to do some stuff that you guys are talking about. Thanks for watching, and check out the next ones. They're right here on the channel. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Big thanks to all our patrons who make these episodes possible.
Yeah, and if you want to check out more comedy videos, check out our Brews News playlist.
Make sure you follow us on Twitch TV to see when we play live.
If you want to chat with us, head over to Twitter. We're @CommandersBrew.
And please hit subscribe to ding the bell and find out when we got new stuff coming out.
See you next time.
Bye.